World holiday is up, and Mama View Oswabwaje is roving this morning, going to a community near you, especially one of those in the capital, to look at the state of places of convenience or public toilets, because we know millions of people in our country don't have access to proper sanitary facilities, and that results in the spread of many diseases and leading to sometimes fatalities in some instances. And so we want to look at that and how residents in some of those affected communities are coping and what they would need done as far as places of convenience or toilets in their communities are concerned. And so make sure that you stay glued to this very channel, this very show. Before the close of the next 3 hours, we'll bring you a lot more from Mama View Oswabwaje, who is roving this morning. In the meantime, though, many of you have been sending a lot more of your messages, and this one, you didn't put your name there, though. You say your son is celebrating his birthday with them, Kenas Zuga, and you say happy birthday to Kenas this morning. And also, Mr. Foko is a threat to the party and the way forward. Hence, he should respect the next decision and give room for peace and harmony to prevail in the party. And that's you texting from Wale Wale, and that's Akram. Akram, we say thanks also for your message as well. We're very much happy that you've made that possible for us. Good morning, Roland and Mamavi. My name is Samuel from Wale Wale. I'm physically disabled, and you have a degree in social science education, and you're looking for a job, and you're not getting, you would want a job. Okay, so we'll try and see what we can do for you. Someone will get in touch, I'm sure, and we see what can be done with your concern. With this service, the government wants us to pay more for power. This government says they are for the poor, yet killing us, the poor. May God save Ghana from the NDC administration. And you haven't put your name there, but please, next time, make sure you put your name there. The police should please help the people of Amamfro to improve their road networks, and that's from Dixon. And we have a lot more of your messages coming in as well. But let's look at what the stories are on the front and back pages of the newspapers, because they have been summarized on the news portal myjoyonline.com. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, we see that we have the story, government officials to face music for payment of judgment debts, according to white paper. And government officials will henceforth be held accountable for their actions and inaction that will lead to the payment of judgment debts. MPP Rick staying in opposition if he fails to abide by party constitution. And we know that the suspended party chairman of the MPP, Paul Afoko, convened a press conference yesterday, that's on Wednesday. He says that the decision taken by the National Executive Committee, the disciplinary actions that were taken against him, and also the National Council in itself, it's not in the right direction as far as he's concerned, and also doesn't warrant or make sure that there's unity in the party. So we'll see how that goes as far as his grievances with the decision taken by the party is. Dialogue on waste management held in Accra, and stakeholders in the sanitation sector have pushed for more involvement of private companies in the decision-making process in the sector, saying that a partnership among the private sector, the government and the partners, or the partners, is the best way to ensure progress in the waste management sector. On the front page of the Daily Guide, we have MPP Jabs Mahama and Yoko also probes KT over drill ship saga. And we know that the opposition New Patriotic Party says it does not intend to cease pointing out John Mahama's incompetence in spite of the president's objection to the tag. On the second story, Yoko probes KT Hammond over drill ship saga. The Economic and Organized Crime Office, that is Yoko, is to investigate former Deputy Energy Minister KT Hammond for his role in the sale of the GMPC drilled ship to pay off a judgment debt. A jet in town, says Amidu. Former Attorney General Martin Amidu has made another sensational claim that popular investigative journalist Anas Aremia Anas lied about the whereabouts of embattled High Court Judge Justice John Ajet Nassam. And the Today newspaper has a story, Power Badge Won't Fix Dumso, according to Indum. And the 2012 presidential candidate of the Progressive People's Party, Papa Kwesi Indum, has made it clear that the power badge procured by the Mahama administration will not fix the current power crisis being experienced. And we know that the lexicon is Dumso. In the lexicon is that very word, Dumso, that many of us have become very much accustomed to. Glow closes major sales point as workers panic. And it says more soon. All right. So that'll be it for the newspapers. We now have to look on to the mainstream online portal, myjoyonline.com. We'll see which stories are available. We have the summary stories here. NGO rescues 24 children from child labor in the Volta region. It talks about Challenging Heights, a child rights NGO together with the police in the Volta region, rescuing 24 children from child labor on Lake Volta. The next story we will look at on the portal myjoyonline.com is suicide bombers in Nigerian city of Kano kill at least 14 and wound over 100. Two female suicide bombers, they blew themselves up at a mobile phone market in the northern Nigerian city of Kano on Wednesday, killing at least 14 people and wounding more than 100 others. Politics, and has police deployed 7,000 personnel for NDC primaries. That's good enough. According to what the police service says, it has intentioned or planned for the NDC primaries that is expected to be convened on Saturday. And make sure that you stay glued to this very channel, Joy News, as well as Adum TV, because we're going to bring you a thorough coverage of the NDC primaries across all the constituencies with deployed, well-read, knowledgeable personnel to give you the best updates as far as the primaries and its ongoings are concerned. And we'll bring you a lot more news and analysis as far as that also is the NDC primaries that is taking place the 21st of November 2015. This very Saturday it is. And so the police now are deploying 7,000 personnel, and a focused culture of silence claims against MPP unsustainable, according to an MP. And the MP is a member of parliament for Isujamain, who is saying that claims of a crippling culture of silence in the opposition New Patriotic Party are unsustainable. We know that the press conference addressed by the suspended party chairman was raising a number of issues, and some of those issues really have been dominant in the public discourse for the last couple of weeks, if not months. And so you can just make sure you log on to the news portal myjoyonline.com to get a lot more of some of those stories as well. Let's go up and see whether we can see more of those stories. Katie Hammond accuses government of witch hunting as Yoko investigation set to begin. We have NDC suspends Fifi Kwete challenger, and the gentleman is called Jim Yao Moti, one of the disqualified parliamentary aspirants for the Ketu South constituency primary. So we'll see how that goes. When that comes, we'll bring you a lot more analysis on that very subject, because we know the primaries 21st of November, this very Saturday, will be fully covered on this very channel. And we're deploying the best personnel we have to bring you the best analysis, the best report from the various polling stations, and you will get to know, because this one is a novelty by the NDC. They've expanded the electoral college, close to over 100,000 people expected to vote live, and that means that a lot more than we think. And we also have other stories featured on the news portal myjoyonline.com. Let's go to City FM. We'll first have to look at the summary stories. Mahama wouldn't be president if he was in... let's click on that story and read it, because we want to know. Some of you have been sending your messages. This one is from Seth Kondengri from Molly National Park. He said, toilets are like luxurious facilities in Ghana, and to you that is a pity. The government must do something about them. And we're talking about toilet because as well toilet data is coming up. But Mama Vioswa Boaje currently is roaming communities in Accra, those that we've targeted, thinking or knowing that they don't have adequate toilet facilities or places of convenience. We're trying to see what the community members are feeling and how also they can improve on their lot, but also what they want to be done for their community as far as their places of convenience are. We have this story: Mahama wouldn't be president if he was in MPP, according to Freddie Blay, who is the substantive chairman of the MPP, following that very suspension action meted out to the suspended chairman, Paul Afoko, who also convened his press conference on Wednesday. The New Patriotic Party says, considering the abysmal record of President John Dramani Mahama and his NDC administration or government over the last 7 years, It comes as no surprise to them that President Mahama is resorting to the politics of division as the only likely means by which he can win the 2016 election. And according to the party, President Mahama is so desperate to hang on to power that he does not mind if he bangs the heads of Ghanaians together, tribe against tribe, and religion against religion. We know this is coming out from the press conference convened by the NPP, same time or around just the same time when the suspended party chairman Paul Afoko was also convening his press conference. So we'll see how it is in other news portals. So let's go on and look at the BBC Africa page. And deadly bombing at Nigeria phone markets, and scores of people were killed. We're told 14 and over 100 others getting injured in the process. And you can see there's a very tragic incident, and consistent bombings in Nigeria have been taking place over the last couple of years, mainly perpetrated by rebels or personnel of Boko Haram, the Islamic militant based in northern Nigeria, that have been meting out a lot more carnage to many citizens in Nigeria, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Senegal plans to ban full-face veil, and Senegal also adding to that very controversial subject. $2 billion stolen from anti-Boko Haram fight, and rescued miners were presumed dead. Okay. Africa highlights Nigerian mobile phone markets attacked, Somalia reopening U.S. embassy, and those are the stories we have as far as we have. Fred, can we look at this? Rescued miners were presumed dead, and this will be the last one we'll look at before we'll call it a wrap as far as this very segment is concerned. And then we'll have to invite Baba Tando in the studio to give us a lot more sports. And rescued Tanzanian miner families presumed they had died. Presumed those victims had died in there because rescued Tanzanian miners returned to find out their property had been given away because they were presumed dead. How would you feel if it was you? And the 5 gold miners were trapped underground for 41 days after a shaft collapsed while they were trying to rescue 11 other missing colleagues. One miner said his family had held a funeral for him and his wife had left town, while another said his brother had inherited his shoes. Only in Africa. They survived underground by eating roots, soil, frogs, and cockroaches. Well, now that they are on land, what would they do? Will they continue eating some of these things for survival? Not at all, I think. And they ate again roots, soil, frogs, and cockroaches. Kakape. Efforts by local people to rescue the miners were abandoned last month after about a week as hopes of finding them faded. We should bear in mind they were in there for 41 days before they were rescued, but faint cries alerted other miners working nearby that the group was still alive, and the search thus continued. It is one of the longest periods that miners have remained alive trapped underground. In Chile, for example, 33 were rescued after some 69 days in 2010 in an operation which gained worldwide attention. Father of 4, Joseph Buruli Robi, told the BBC his family held a funeral for him, and his wife even went back to her own family in Mwanza. Father of 7, Mazafiri Gerald, said even his shoes had been taken away after he was presumed dead. I can't go to my brother and ask him to bring back the shoes he got as inheritance, but you're not dead, so take back your property. Well, if shoes could be classified as property. I was presumed dead, so my family has the right to have my property. Tobias Nrothi said when he received the call to say his brother Onyiwa Kaindo had been found alive, he thought it was a scam and hung up. The miners did not find the 11 colleagues they originally went to look for, and the police also presumed they were dead as well. I can imagine that. Well, so those are the stories we're looking at from the BBC, and we'll look at the summarized ones from the world page. French seek to identify raid bodies, because we know that forensic experts are trying to establish whether a suspected organizer of the Paris attack was among those killed in a police raid on a flat. And we're told that during the raid, one of the blasts that went was triggered by a female bomber. And according to the intelligence that the police security community also picked up, they were planning a second raid in Paris, or in Paris. Paris. So we'll see whether a lot more will be coming out, because the news is just breaking. We have a lot more on that that will be reported in the various worldwide news portals. Hijab-wearing patriots, Bataclan police really saw hell. What should you do in an attack? And tackling IS, rethinking the strategy. And IS claims 2 more hostage killings, and that's pathetic as well. But this story seemed to have taken a lot more attention from other stories this morning. This one, it says world on cusp of post-antibiotic era. And if you click the story, it says bacteria are now resistant to drugs of antibiotics. And the world is on the cusp of a post-antibiotic era, because scientists have just warned that after finding bacteria resistant to drugs used when all other treatments have failed, we're in for a difficult time. They are already reporting that in the scientific journal, the science journal Lancet, which is identifying bacteria that is able to shrug off colistin. Colistin is a drug that is used as antibiotic in many patients. And they noticed that after their investigations of livestock and also humans in China, apparently, well, the drugs that they were giving to the animals or the livestock were also found to be part of antibiotics that were given to humans as well. And because the bacteria was resisting many of the drugs that were being given to the livestock, it is resulting in also a lot more resistance in humans who also had the ingredient in the antibiotics that they were also administered when they had crisis or other crisis situations. And they're saying that it could affect cancer treatment, surgeries, and other small ailments that could be affecting human beings, and even could result in new infections that the science world has not seen before. It's something that has gotten a lot more prominent this morning. Experts said the worrying developments needed to be acted upon as a global wake-up call as well. And you see the quay there, quay, it's pig. You see the pig there, one of the many animals that they found the resistance to antibiotics in livestock. So now we have to look at spores, and it's up next. But many of you have been sending a lot more of those messages. Let me read some of them to you. I think that would be more appropriate. Joy People updates on the development of DKM. And we know DKM is the microfinance company that has had difficulties in the Bunafo region, for which they've not been able to pay many of their customers the set amount that they had deposited in their accounts there. We have a draft for Emmanuel, also known to many people as Amicable Ahinsan Estates. He says Mr. Foucault is dancing to his own tune. MPP is united than ever before and will wrestle power from the incompetent Mahama administration. And he says, you said, Roland, please have people change their profile pictures to the flag of Nigeria on an inscription, pray for Nigeria. Well, Facebook has just also started that as well. So we don't know whether people, it's up to you whether you have to change. You are texting from Akonsombo. Danny, you have that very text. The MPP will win 2016 with or without Paul Afoko. Please make sure you add your name the next time. This one, if no name, I won't read. You're talking about DKM. Half a Sydney resident, Nana Vasco, says Dr. Papa Kwesi Num should equally advise people who blatantly insult public officials to also stop. You feel the president was also right in also replying to some of his critics who were always insulting him. Ahmed, you're saying the ruling government should try and eliminate schools under trees, then they are doing a lot more. Upper East region is not an exception. And you're giving us a picture of the Jayiri Primary 1 Junior High School, and you said students were studying in the trees. And I don't know whether the camera can come closer. You have sent us this from Jayiri, and that is Wa East. Wa East resident Ahmed sending that to us, and you're saying this. Yes, so this is the power of social media and what social media can do. We're bringing the news to you. We're also making sure that you are getting a lot more interactive. And we have to say thank you very much, Ahmed, for this. We're hoping the authorities in that area will do something on this very school as well. Again, this is the school, and you would want us to take a lot more look at it. You call it the Jeyiri 1 Primary School, wherever it is in the Upper East region or the Wa East area, please. The educational authorities should make sure that they look at it. This is as appalling as it can be. You can see that students are studying under trees. Thank you very much, Ahmed. We're very much grateful. All right, so that'll be it for the morning. And next, we're bringing you sports. And as always, make sure that you get interactive through our WhatsApp console and on the platform through the number 0560 800,000. We're going to bring you a lot more of your messages as you bring them or relay them to us as much as possible. Remember, this very weekend, this very Saturday, the 21st of November 2015, we're going to bring to you live coverage starting from the early parts of the morning. We're going to have news file. Then thereafter, there'll be live coverage till the end of the polls, the declaration of the results live here on this very channel, Joy News. And we're going to deploy big teams led by Kwabena Chenchehene, who will be in the studio, Israel, and a lot more live presenter mentions also made of what really is transpiring across the various polling stations in that very primary of the NDC. Do stay on. We're taking a break. When we come back, a lot more sports for you.